with that looming implementation of the 30% tariff on South African exports to the United States. We tried to speak to her earlier and we couldn't, but we have now been able to catch up with SABC News International Editor Sophie Mokoena. So let's just get some analysis on what is currently going on. Sophie, good morning. So, we were talking about tomorrow's looming deadline and, of course, looking at the posture from the United States with regard to President Trump's obvious opposition to BRICS and BRICS nations. What is South Africa to do now? What should our stance be? What can we do to try and avert the worst?
Well, I think South Africa will have to continue to engage the United States of America, but it looks like the U.S. administration is not willing to accept the proposal from South Africa. As we pointed out earlier on, when President Ramaphosa visited the Oval Office, we were told that they did leave a proposal in terms of how the negotiations can be handled. But it looks like there is no outcome or an agreement thus far. We don't know whether today we might see something happening, or we are clearly now in a situation where tomorrow those tariffs will be implemented. But you are correct. It looks like late last night, early hours of this morning, South African time, it is clear that President Trump is targeting BRICS member countries. He started yesterday in the afternoon with India. India, a country that is known to be a friend of the United States of America. We saw the Vice President, J.D. Vance, visiting India a few weeks ago, which was an indication of healthy relationship. But also we saw the President of the U.S., Donald Trump, talking about China, and there's no agreement there with China. The other strong statement was directed at Russia, also a BRICS member country, yesterday in relation to the talks with Ukraine. But this morning, early hours of this morning, South African time, late last night in the U.S., President Trump now talking about both China, both India and Russia, the relationship and the oil supply from Russia to India, and including now Iran. And therefore you can see that he's on a war path, a trade war path, as it relates to the challenges of tariffs directed at the BRICS member countries. But you'd recall that I spoke to President Ramaphosa when we were in Brazil, because at that time he sent a signal, Trump, that he will punish the BRICS member states. Let's take a listen at what President Ramaphosa said when I asked him that it looks like President Trump is not happy about BRICS and its associates. Let's listen in.
And this should be seen in positive light rather than in a negative light. It should be seen as improving the governance of the world and enhancing good processes and policies that should help the development of humanity as a whole. So BRICS is such a center of power. And BRICS does not seek to compete with any other power. It recognizes the importance and the standing of other centers of power. It recognizes the standing of the United Nations and respects that, and subjects itself to the decisions of the United Nations. And it also recognizes the standing of a body like the G20. And so these powers should be seen as complementary, as advancing the interests of people.
And listening there to our own president, Sophie, and of course, still some hope of some last-minute deals that could be struck by members of the Trade and Industry Ministry and others trying to make some sort of inroads. But of course, we have nothing yet, and we are literally counting down to the 1st of August. Sophie?
Yes, you are correct. We are now waiting to see what is going to happen tomorrow. But still on BRICS, the president went further to explain or respond to, at that time, a threat to punish BRICS. Let's take a listen at this clip.
Declaration like the one that we adopted should be seen in that it is beautiful and it is aimed at enhancing the interests of people globally. Sure, there should never be vengeance, there should never be retribution against countries that are seeking to cooperate together and to advance the interests of humanity. There is nothing negative in the declaration, and there is everything about advancing the interests of various countries in the world, if not all, and the interests of people in the world, so that we leave no one behind. So it is really disappointing that when there is such a very positive collective manifestation such as BRICS, there should be others who see it in negative light and want to punish those who participate in this. It cannot be and should not be. We should be respecting the sovereignty of countries. We should be respecting that we're all equal, that all we should be focusing on is enhancing the prosperity of humanity in all countries. It cannot be that might should now be right, where in the end those who are more powerful are the ones who seek to have vengeance against those who are seeking to do good in the world.
And as we hear there, Sophie, the president in some sense, condemning some of the thinking and also affirming that the BRICS bloc does not seek competition with the United States, which is, of course, something that President Trump has been fearful of.
Yes, you are correct. As you know, that his argument, President Trump, is that BRICS is undermining a dollar. You know that for many, many years, since World War II, post-World War II, the dollar has been a global trading currency, and it has dominated the markets around the world. And now, with BRICS member countries approving a resolution to use their national currencies, that will weaken the use of rand, of a dollar. And the fear is that America has been using a dollar to dominate the world. It's not only in terms of military or economy, and that economy it is strong because of the dollar. And therefore the fear is that you are weakening America economically, and that will translate into weakening America even in terms of might, as the president has pointed out that America is using the might. And the other issue is that the issue of clearing systems, SWIFT, that is controlled by the Americans and the Europeans, because countries such as Russia are facing sanctions. They can't use that system to clear payments among BRICS member states. And therefore, that is why they've looked at options of using their own currencies and also thinking of having a clearing system for BRICS. And this doesn't sit well with President Trump, because President Trump is transactional, he's a businessman. He wants a mighty U.S. to continue to dominate, and its currency to continue to be a currency that's dominating trade around the world.
Sophie, thank you so much. We'll leave it there. SABC News International Editor Sophie Mokoena on the big story, without a doubt, given that we are now literally on a countdown of hours to the 1st of August, which is when that 30% tariff implementation comes into effect.